If you're an adult volleyball player dealing with shoulder pain, especially in your 30s, 40s, or even 50s, this video is for you. Because here's the thing that most people won't tell you. Shoulder pain doesn't mean you're too old to play volleyball. It usually means you're just not prepared for the stress you're putting on your shoulder anymore. I see this constantly with adult volleyball players. People who love the game, they still want to compete, they still want to swing hard, but their shoulder just won't cooperate. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 3-step process we use with our adult volleyball athletes to eliminate shoulder pain without having to stop playing. And no, this isn't generic PT advice. This is strength training, movement, and volleyball specific solutions that actually work long term. If we haven't met yet, my name is Greg Hersig. I'm known online as the volleyball strength coach, and I've been playing volleyball for over 20 years. I've been a strength coach for over a decade, and I specialize in helping adult volleyball players jump higher, hit harder, and eliminate nagging issues like knee and shoulder pain. And shoulder pain is probably the #1 thing that makes adult players think that they're done, so let's fix that. The first step is this. You need to get your shoulder stronger. And I know that sounds obvious, but most people don't actually do this correctly. Here's the truth. Your shoulder hurts because the muscles, tendons, and ligaments can't tolerate the amount of force you're putting through them when you swing. Every time you hit a volleyball, your shoulder is dealing with high-speed rotation, deceleration forces, repetitive stress, and a ton of volume over years. If the tissue capacity is low, then that is going to result in pain. Now, yes, you should be getting stronger in your main upper body lifts. Pressing, rowing, and pulling need to stay in every workout program, but that's not enough on its own for volleyball players. You also need direct shoulder accessory strength, and this is where most people get stuck. A lot of adult players were given light resistance bands or 2 and 3 pound dumbbells with endless high rep PT exercises. And while those are fine early on, they're not a long-term solution. Your shoulder doesn't magically adapt to the high speed, high force swing by staying weak forever. And while we still use high rep work as a warm up, it's definitely not a complete solution for shoulder pain. So one of our benchmarks inside VBSC is this. I want you to work up to 10% or more of your own body weight for sets of 10 reps on 2 main movements. Movement number 1 is dumbbell external rotation variations, and movement number 2 is Powell raise variations. So for example, a 200-pound athlete would need to be doing at least 20 pounds for 10 reps on these exercises, or a 150-pound athlete would have to work up to at least 15 pounds for 10 reps. That might sound heavy, and that's the point, because volleyball doesn't care if you did your band work. It only cares if your shoulder can handle the stress of swinging at game speed. Strong shoulders equal resilient shoulders, and that means we need to lift heavy but safely. You also want to make sure that you do that in multiple different variations for those exercises. For example, you can do an external rotation with your elbow on your knee, one with your arm directly next to you, and with your elbow down at your side. For the Powell raise, you should cycle through doing it on an incline bench, with a cable, or standing like an arm swing. Pick one of each of those and grind on it, slowly increasing weight until you plateau, and then switch to a different variation for a while. As a bonus, I also recommend using barbell dead hangs as a great way to strengthen your shoulder in overhead extension. Build your way up to 90 seconds on a 2-arm hang, and then if you're really crazy, you can work up to 45 seconds for a single arm hang. But be very careful with this, because if you try to do too much too fast, especially on that single arm hang, you can easily hurt yourself. But if you master everything we just talked about, then your shoulder is going to be in a really good place to play volleyball for a really long time. Now, even if your shoulder is stronger, we don't want to put it under more stress than is necessary. That brings us to step 2, which is improving your hitting technique. One of the biggest mistakes adult volleyball players make is trying to generate power only from the shoulder and arm. Instead of letting the shoulder stay relaxed and transfer force from the hips and core, they muscle the swing, and the shoulder pays the price from that. Good hitting technique does a few key things. 1, it lets your core and trunk generate the power. 2, it keeps your shoulder from doing all of the work. And 3, it reduces unnecessary strain on the rotator cuff and tendons. But technique isn't just about the skill. It's also about the mobility and the positioning. If you can't physically get into the right positions, then your body will compensate. So we also have to look at upper back rotation, shoulder internal and external rotation, and thoracic spine mobility. A stiff upper back forces the shoulder to move more than it should, and that leads to irritation over time. This is why strength and technique have to be trained together, not separately. Try incorporating these exercises into the ones we talked about earlier. Single arm face pulls are very volleyball specific, and if you step forward with the same side of your pulling arm, then it forces you to rotate properly. PVC external rotations help increase your shoulder flexibility so that you can hit the proper positions on the swing. And straddle rotations are not only great for upper body rotation, but also have the secondary benefit of groin flexibility. If you want, I can even do a full video on these hitting position isometric holds, or a full video on these basic positioning drills. If you want me to do that, let me know down in the comments. Now here's the step that almost nobody talks about, but it matters a lot. Step 3 is improving your timing and spacing when you're hitting. Because even with better strength and better technique, if you're never in the right place to hit the ball properly, your shoulder is still going to hurt. Here's two common problems I see all the time. First, you let the ball get too far behind you. When your timing is early, it's really easy for you to overrun a set and end up too far underneath it or even a bit in front of the ball. This puts your shoulder in a compromised position under load. The further back your arm goes, the less stable it becomes and the more susceptible it is to pain or injury. So first, make sure you're communicating with your setters about height, tempo, and location so you can get in a rhythm. And second, I always tell my clients that it's better to be late than it is to be early. If you're early, you end up decelerating in your approach, which means you don't jump as high because you're slowing down. And you're more likely to end up in the wrong spot with the ball behind you. But if you're a little late, it forces you to accelerate your approach and you'll end up taking the ball further out in front of you, which is easier on your shoulder. Obviously, neither of those are ideal, but if you have to pick, it's better to be a little bit late. The second big problem is that your spacing is off. If you're constantly reaching across your body or swinging out of position, that excess stress adds up fast. This is why I strongly recommend filming yourself play. Even just setting up your phone behind the court can be eye-opening. You'll start to see where you're early, where your spacing breaks down, and why your shoulder feels the way it does. Your strength and technique only matter if you can still apply them to real game situations, so make sure you watch your film. The other best thing you can do to fix this is get really good with your last two steps of your approach. If those last two steps are really aggressive and help you cover a ton of court, it's easier to get your spacing right on any set, even if it's not perfect. Now, I know this can be overwhelming for some, so if you want to figure all of this out faster, this is exactly what we do inside of our one-on-one coaching. With one-on-one elite coaching, we'll help you build your shoulder strength progressively, improve flexibility and joint health, clean up your technique, and review actual game footage to fix timing and spacing issues. Instead of guessing, we'll identify exactly what's causing your shoulder pain, and then we'll fix it. So if you want my help with this, click the link in the description or down in the comments to apply for one-on-one elite coaching. You don't have to stop playing volleyball. You don't have to accept shoulder pain as normal. You just need to follow the right plan.